to you all.
Hello.
Hello. I must say, there seems to be a lot more excitement here about me bringing Jesus through than for me. I'm a little disappointed. But I can see where you're excited. I'm excited. He's happy to come through today and talk to you, and he'll explain why he's coming through. And he said he doesn't usually get the opportunity to do this. And you notice Geraldine did not promote him coming through when she sent her information out, because we felt it might attract some energy we just as soon not have. There are people who might have picked it up, but who feel Jesus, the Christ, is theirs only, and they know what he thinks and says and does. And so we felt, some of you were, I guess you were all told, and we felt this was the way to handle it to begin with. He will not be the only master teacher we bring through. But we're going to start with him because he's had this in his idea that he would like to do this. He had told me this a few months ago, I think, when I mentioned it. And he has a reason for coming, and he's really, you will love him. His energy is so beautiful and so perfect that it is a great joy. And I'm going to start to step back, and then we'll bring him through. And Rebecca, I want you to see on the camera, I think you might see a shift in the energy when he comes through, because the energy he carries is so strong and so profound. So this will be interesting to see if technology picks this up. So, greetings to all of you.
Hello.
Hello. I go by the name Jesus. The Christ was given to me on the earth plane. It means enlightened one, which who wouldn't like that taken to their name? But I wanted to come. I'd like to remind everyone, especially in this part of the world where many of you go to spiritual centers or grew up in spiritual centers that are supposed to be the teachings I gave when I was here. I was here for only 33 years, but you only hear about the last few. But I was very fortunate. I'm going to give you a little history lesson of truth about me. And then I want you to ask me questions. I want to talk to you. I don't get to do this very often, so this is a joy for me to be with you. And so let me talk a little bit about the energy that I brought to the earth plane 2,000 years ago. Give or take. A little more sometimes, but math was never my strong suit when I was on the earth plane, and it certainly isn't now. When I came down, first of all, I want to talk about the disbelief of the virgin birth. Sounds like that can't happen. Well, the truth is it did. That was thought about, talked about, decided probably 100 years before it happened, because Mary and I were very close, very good friends, teachers, each other's teachers, before we ever decided on this incarnation. This incarnation for Jesus to come and do this kind of teaching was thought about a long time before it happened, because we could see that there needed to be a shift in the energy, that there needed to be a new way of looking at things. The strongest religion in the area that I came to and that I was born into was Judaism. It was very strict. There were rules on everything. What you could eat, what you couldn't eat, what you could live, where you could live. It was very strict. And then at that time, the Romans were in charge because they had mighty might. They were wonderful soldiers, disciplined, and so they ruled the world at that time. And so it was a very tense, dramatic time, which in that part of the world it still seems to be. So before I came in, I had had many lifetimes on the earth, many. Yeah, for a while I just kept coming back, you know, getting the practice, learning. And then about 100 years before I came back into the incarnation of Jesus, I stayed home because I had gotten to the point I was happy with the energy I was carrying. I was at a point of where there was very little karma, that I had worked hard on that. And so I was moving my energy up, refining my energy. And we had talked about this, the Lords of Karma, me, others, about how we thought, what we thought would happen. Now you have to know at the same time, before I came, there were many great mystical teachers on the earth plane. They just weren't getting the attention. They would work with small groups, and it was all over the world, known world, okay? And so that was going on, and so then we decided the place that I really should come, where it really needed to happen, was Jerusalem, that Mecca. That was a very chaotic place, but it was a very powerful place. There was a lot of energy there. I thought about Rome and thought, no. So I needed to come in to where there were devout people. And there were many Jews in that area who were extremely devout. So that was what I decided. So then Mary and I talked about it. Katumi and I talked about it. I don't know if you know him, but he's an amazing master, and he carries the Christ consciousness now on the earth plane, holding it. So, and he will continue in that way until the New Age energy is completely in, and then there'll be another person who will hold that energy. So, we decided the Jewish group was where we wanted to be. We felt that would make the most impact. They had some mystical traditions already in their religion. So that was what we decided. So then we started talking about it with the body. How would it work? And we both decided that the physical body that I would carry, we would not use the normal procreation method. There were reasons for it. We didn't want that DNA out there for me. So they will not find a body, of course, with me, but there would be no DNA for them to touch. We decided to do everything differently about that body. Her energy, my energy, recreated it. Now, Mary was in physical form. Her memory was not that good of it, so she, on the higher self, her higher self knew. So we created this infant, and she was appalled. She was single. She could have been stoned, and she was to marry Joseph, and Joseph was not happy. So what it took with the two of them was connections with higher spirits here on this plane to connect with them. And then they were able to say, yes, we remember, we will do it. So that's how it started. So when I came in as a baby and then as a toddler, my memory was better than most. I was working very hard on it to stay connected to my own higher self that permeated my body. I worked very hard on it. Mary and Joseph worked very hard on it with me. And then I had other siblings who thought I was weird. Everybody thought I was weird because I was different. I had to be to carry that energy. And I tried to fit in, but then it didn't seem to happen. And so there were times where it was very difficult for me. So as a youngster, I would go away from the others and I would sit and stare into space. It was a meditative form, but everybody thought I was a wacko because I was doing what nobody else did. And it's hard to be different. It's very hard. So, but as I grew, I started remembering things. I saw things. I started feeling the energy. I started really what you would consider prayer, but I would go off and talk. And I was very fortunate in the job that I had come to do, that I had higher beings around me who would connect with me in my sleep or in my meditations so that I could do the job I came to do. But I also, in the community, had joyful times. I loved to wrestle with my brother. He always won. Oh, he always won. But there was a great love between us. And so I loved my family and my family loved me, even though I was very different. So I had great love with them. And it was a buffer. It was a buffer. And so it gave me the strength as a youngster to step out and to do things, say things that were not really popular things to do. I would talk to Roman soldiers. The Jewish leaders hated that. Some of them were very nice, though. They were doing a job that they had to do. So as I grew and gained maturity, when I was like 14 or 15, I would go and listen to different teachers. And I also would listen to teachers who were not Jewish, which was not a good thing to do at that time. But I was doing those things to try and remember what I was doing, who I was. Okay, then I got to be about 17, and people are saying I should marry. No, I knew that I could not live that life. I had to stay focused. I had a great job to do. I asked for this job to do. It was not, it was put upon me. It was my great joy. I wanted it, and I was determined I would do the best I could do. So I started my ministry very young, walking around, talking to people, being with different people, and then my family would come and say, "You need to do some work." So my father was a carpenter, my stepfather, I guess, but he was a carpenter, so that was how he provided. So I would help sometimes with that, I enjoyed that. It's nice to be able to take something with your hands and create. I enjoyed that. But I also knew I had more to do. So I would go on sort of excursions and meet new people and walk. You can't go a long way when you're walking, really. It takes a long time to do that. But I would go as far as I could, meet with new people, talk to different people. Some people were very kind to me, some were not. And as I got older, I knew this was my mission. My mission was to change the way things were done. Not to have everything be exactly the same way. Not to follow this leader or that leader. Not to follow old ideas, but to follow the ideas of truth. And I was really very fortunate in my prayer work, in my meditation, in my sleeping times, that I would be awakened to this by the great teachers who were around me, who were on this side where I am now. So, were there times when I was tempted? You bet. Lots of times. There were times when things were presented to me that would have made my life so easy. I could marry into this family and have all this wealth and have this beautiful girl. But I could not do that. That would have been my mission destroyed. You know, we had waited a long time for someone, might not have been me, might have been someone else, to come forward and to do this lifetime, to wake people up. That's what it was about, was getting people to move out of these judgmental ideas and to accept each other. That was my main mission. Now, I know in the stories that are written, they talk about the miracles. Those healings, those were done in conjunction with the soul I worked with. If they had not wanted to accept it, it would not have happened. But it was a connection of the energy that I was carrying and the energy they had, and so it worked. Because they wanted it to work. I wanted it to work. We had to show it was a teaching idea. That's what it was about. So it wasn't to put me in a space where only I could do these things. I would talk to my friends who became my disciples, but were my friends, and we taught each other. Well, I would talk to them about these things when they would see me do something. And I said, but you can do it. And it was always, no, Master. That was not what we wanted. I was trying to get through the idea that what I could do, you could do. I was not more important than you. I was the same as you. I had just had more time to spend. I had chosen a lifetime of teaching. You all teach. Everyone does. And hopefully we all learn. But I did not want to be put on the pedestal that I was on afterward. Now when it happened, when my teaching time was near, I knew that I would not be permitted to stay in the physical body. I knew that. And I was afraid. Yes, I was in a human body, and I was afraid. But I knew that in order for the teaching to continue, I would have to go through that and then come out the other side to show that it could happen. So pretty much the story of what you hear about Good Friday, about my time on the cross, that they got that pretty right. That's pretty close. It was a time of overcoming fear. When I talked to the leaders, when Herod was there, I was not going to change what I was teaching. There's always a chance, you know, in a circumstance like that, where you can say, oh, okay, bow to what's happening and perhaps save a physical life. But even if I had done that, I would not have saved a life. I would have lost what I was coming for, which was to teach, to show the importance of everyone. One of the things I did when I was on the earth plane was I would talk to a lot of different people. That was not looked on with joy. Now Mary and Joseph were fine with it because they knew, they remembered. But my brothers and my sister, they did not like it. They wanted to stay, follow the line, but I couldn't. So anyway, then, after I go through that experience, believe me, that was not something I would want to repeat, for sure. Very, very difficult, very painful, emotionally, mentally, physically, and to see the pain that it was causing others around me, that was very difficult. And it was difficult for everyone. Most of the Roman soldiers didn't want to do it because they thought I was just a nut. And why would you do that? So that was a difficult time. But then, afterward, when I came back and wasn't recognized, but I told them, this is who I am. When I came back, I was in my body of truth. How I really, that soul body was what I was presenting to them. And so at first they didn't recognize me, but when I spoke, then they knew. And that was the purpose. That was how this whole process was to start. But I was never, ever to be put above anyone. I was grateful that I was able to live that life and to be a teacher. It was my great joy. It took a long time, though, before these churches really started to move. There were those who started these organizations. Thank you. Oh, I see. We didn't have these the last time I was here. Can you take that? Thank you. So, I think I will take some questions now because this is, I just wanted to clarify the fact that do not put me on a pedestal. Do not put anyone on a pedestal. You are a higher being yourself. So let's go with the questions. This is great fun.
I actually have a question. Thank you for coming to us, but my question is, if your DNA was special or unique in some way, does that make you more capable of embodying Christ consciousness than the rest of us?
That would have been good, but it's not true.
Okay.
The reason we did that is we didn't want anyone to be able to say they were my son, my daughter. You see what I mean? We didn't want a DNA connection to anyone on the earth plane. But that didn't make it different as far as how hard it was or the work it was. That wasn't it. A lot of it with me was I had had so much time on the other side to work on this, to get myself geared to this life that I was going to do. And I spent a lot of time as a very young child, I would go off alone. And then in my sleep times, I would have higher selves, guides on this side, help me. This was not a one-person thing. There were a lot of guides and energy given so that I could do the lifetime.
I have a question, Jesus. In the Bible, it talks about some of the stories you did where you had to deal with maybe a force as we know is evil or Satan or demons. Did you cast them out? Do they exist? And if so, what can we do to protect ourselves from that kind of thing?
Oh, demons.
And yeah, I don't know. Does that exist?
People like that idea, you know, they really do. But it's not truth. What that was, some of that language in the Bible it's overblown, really. What would happen is it would be a normal temptation that perhaps everyone at different times has, and I would think, I don't want to do this. This is too hard. I'm going to do what other people around me are doing and live that life. Those ideas would come up to me. And then I would go into prayer and meditation to strengthen myself, to continue to move forward. So there really aren't demons as such, but there are those who come to the earth plane and who walk away completely from their true self. They get caught up in the energy of the world, and then they choose to use it negatively, which we call evil. And so that's what happens. But for an entity like a devil or demons or something like that really doesn't happen. It's somebody coming down into a body and then misusing their energy. And it's very, there can be a lot of power on the dark side, as there's a lot of power on the light. And so that's what you see happening. But when that was in the Bible about the demons, that was a way for me to describe the darkness that I would feel when I would see things around me and think, this person is doing so much fun, and here I am, and I'm not having that good of a time at the moment. But then I would go into meditation and prayer to strengthen myself, to pull forward that energy and to be able to continue my path.
Thank you also for coming. What does it mean, what does the Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, what does the Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit mean?
I know, that's interesting, isn't it? And it's just a way of describing all of the energy. The energy is not separate. It's all one. It's all connected. But for people who are learning and trying to work with their own energy, that seemed an easy way to talk about it. But the Holy Ghost is not different from the energy of light. It's all part of the one energy. So there's really not a disconnection. But when we talked about it, it was easier for people if we talked about the trio, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. But it's all one energy. So now some of the newer churches talk about Father, Mother, God, which I like because that encompasses it all, but it's not separate. Does that explain it?
It does.
I know, the thing is, it's interesting that I see being on this side and then being on that side before, is how we make it so complicated, It doesn't have to be that complicated, because all you have to do is try to walk your truth. It's not easy. All these roadblocks can be there for you, but you walk your truth, you stay focused in that center of light and love, because it's all love. It's just down here, it can be very strong, the energies that are moving through now, and it can throw people off center, and then there are a lot of people who are picking up the energy and using it negatively and putting it out there, and so you really, it's difficult. But it was difficult when I was here. That's why we came, to just teach. Buddha came, he taught a certain group. I came to teach this group. But we're all one. We're all, at home, we're all one. Now, I'd like to talk about that just a minute if I could. Does it?
Sure.
Okay. When we go home, it's another dimension. I don't know how to explain that, so I will just say there are levels at home. Now, is that to put one above another? No. It's, if you had wings, you could fly, but you can't fly because you don't have wings, right? So going from one level, you can't move through the level unless your energy vibrates with it. See, it won't work. You can't go up there. Your energy has to be a match for that particular level. So that's what we're constantly doing, is refining our energies to move through the different levels with the different teachers. If you are on this level, that doesn't mean you're not loved as much as ever. It doesn't. But it's refining. It's refining your vibration. You're all refining your vibrations when you're on the earth plane. You're working through things. You're gaining dharma. Hopefully not gaining more karma. But gaining that, moving that energy, that's why you came. And then when you come home, you're here, maybe you would want to move up to this level. Or you might stay on this level. You could move up, but you want to teach here. We all have things we do when we're home. I work with many different groups up here. And ones I work with a lot are people who are going to come down and teach. So I sort of, because I did that on the airplane, I did come down and teach. And so I will work with different groups who have decided, well, we've been here long enough, now we're going to take this energy and go to the earth plane with it. Or I can work with a group who may want to be on another planet and work with the energy living there. So you know the story in my father's mansion, there are many rooms. That is truth, only there are just many levels of energy. Many different life forms, many different ways to live a life and to be of service.
May I ask another question? I don't want to, I'll wait.
No.
When it says that you walked on water, would you please?
I really did that.
You really physically
I really did
walked
that
on water?
because I was able to move my energy up. So I was able to do that. And I think it was Peter who was right beside me, and he was like, oh. So he did it for a minute, and then he scared himself and he sank. So I really did that, but I did it very briefly. I wasn't walking over oceans or something. I did it very briefly to show how powerful your energy and your thought process are. You know, people now, I know down here, some people do that where they walk over the fire.
Yeah.
Same process, same process. So, but this was just sort of, well, this was one of my parlor tricks, I guess. It was pretty spectacular. And it got written about and people came, you know, and that was my goal, was to attract people to me, to hear what I had to say and to listen and think, oh, if he did that, maybe I could, but it kind of got lost in translation where it was just like I could be the only one who could do it, but it wasn't.
My question is, did you have a lot of input into the Bible being written?
No, I did not. Some of the stories in there are really exaggerated, but I really had not much to do with that. And if you know, a lot of those stories in there were after I was gone,
Yes.
and I never knew those people. So it was word of mouth, and so you know what can happen sometimes with word of mouth. So I didn't have much to do with it. I hope I would have done better, but you know, but I didn't have much to do with it. So
Hi Jesus, thanks for coming. So you were talking about raising your vibration, and what I feel holds us back is fear. And when you said you were on the cross and you felt that fear, it brought tears to my eyes, I can only imagine. But you went through it. So how would you say for us to release fear and increase our vibration? How would be the best way to do that?
yeah, it's not easy. One,
No.
but you already knew that.
Yeah.
It's moment by moment. I will tell you, it is moment by moment, and it's being active, involved in whatever process you're in, whatever you're in that moment, that you can be completely with it. Everything's with it, your whole self. Whatever you're doing, if you can do that, that pulls you away from fear. So it's moment by moment. It is, it has to be. Because the energies are always going to be swirling around you. And so I recommend, first of all, daily meditation, daily prayer. And the awareness is what will keep the fear away. But and also, I like if people can work in a group and pray together and work together, that helps. Because now more than ever, really, these energies that are coming in, and you've got a lot of young souls on the earth plane. And by young souls, I mean souls who don't have really, in physical form, the understanding of their truth. And so they're just, some of them are just really running amok, and they're creating issues for others. And then you have, what you have now that I never dealt with on the earth plane is all this technology that something can happen here and you know it a few minutes later. But even with all that, things get distorted, I've noticed. So it's really removing yourself, Angie, from the earth a little bit to center in yourself. But it's a daily process. And it's really working with it. It's working with groups, it's doing prayer work, to keep yourself away from falling into that fear. And there are times it's going to happen, and you'll know it. You'll feel the lack of peace in your life. And so then you need to go back and do the work again. I wish I could say that it's just a few thoughts and that would be it, but it isn't. And you didn't come to the earth plane to have it be easy. You didn't, because you knew, everybody that's here, you knew before you came down. You could look at, because we can see the energies, can't we, at home? You can do it too. And we knew what was coming, the way things were going to. Now, did we know everything? No. But we could see how strong the energies were when they were coming in to move out the old energy. And so we knew that. And then we knew a lot of young souls were coming down to the airplane at one time. And that was bound to have an impact. So, you know, if you chose this lifetime, you chose a lifetime to do work. You chose a lifetime because you knew that you were going to be a presence. Each one of you are a presence. And you know, when we talk about this, I find it I'm getting off the subject, but okay. But I wanted to talk about something that when fear truly controls with these suicides we're seeing, that is when fear has taken over completely. And the poor soul that does that has lost the memory. You know, and I find it very sad when that happens. Because the lifetime is an opportunity. It is. It's an opportunity. And, you know, things are going to be shifting now. There are 7 billion people on this planet. Will you give me that? Thank you. It's open, too. Be my servant.
Yes,
Thank you. Always nice to have those. Anyway, you know, you all came down here with a purpose. And you may say you don't know what it is. Everyone says that. Oh, I don't know what it is. I said that. I don't know what it is. Why am I doing these weird things? But then I would do prayer work and back to me again, sorry. But I would do prayer work and I would meditate. And then I would be like, oh yes, this is why I came. And don't underestimate the great friends and friends I had. When I was on the airplane, I had a lot of support. It doesn't show that in the Bible, but I did. I had a lot of support, a lot of very good friends, a lot of people who wanted to learn with me. So, because it's hard to do it by yourself. You need a group, you know, and that makes it easier. And you gain so much in community when all are learning together and being open and, you know, being supportive of one another. I'm really glad I got to come. You know, we could do this again sometime if you guys want to. Because I am busy at home, but then I never get to talk to people on the airplane usually, so this is good for me. John's like sitting here watching this whole thing. He really likes to come too. But, you know, we agreed that I would be the main speaker this time. So, okay, I think we could have some more questions.
I have a question. As a teacher, you know, especially when you're guiding, or not even guiding, you're presenting ideas to other souls as they tap into their own. How do you recommend for a teacher to stay on track so their own personality doesn't come in to impact?
Yeah, that's not easy, and your personality does need to come in some.
Okay.
Because if you don't come in with your personality, you're not going to connect with them. You have to be a part of the group as you teach.
Right.
So your personality needs to shine through. The thing is, you just don't want your ego causing you to run amok, which we're seeing young souls having that issue right now on the airplane. But you know, that's always been on the airplane. There's always been, that's always happening where we have these young souls come in, and sometimes a young soul will come in with a lot of charisma, and they can just draw people to them, and they're all working the dark side, you know. And sometimes, you know, they'll start out. I wanted to talk about this one particular soul that came down, and he wanted to be a spiritual teacher, and truthfully, he was fairly evolved when he came. But he got caught. He was able to attract people to him, but then the personality just started running amok. But he had so much charisma, he was able to convince the followers that what he said was absolute truth, was God's mission. And they lost their lives. And it was very sad. You know, those were opportunities that were taken away. And when you see that, it makes you sad for them. But then on the other hand, they have come home, and it's been a lesson. The leader who created this problem, though, is resting and is conscious and then is resting again. So it can be very difficult. And when you come home and you go to, well, usually when you first come home, you're resting, because it can be jarring. It can be jarring coming out of a physical into a spirit body again. And so that can be jarring. Babies sleep when they come to the earth plane because they're having to deal with that energy. And it's not like it is here. So it can be jarring, and then you're resting, and then you're like awake, and your friends are there with you. When you first come home, your friends are there. It's kind of like a parade. We're like, oh, John's home. Yay! Let's go see John. So you're met with great love. And then after you're here for a while, you start looking and you're like, I want to look at that lifetime. So you go to the records and you can look. We judge ourselves. I know people would like to think that there's somebody up here laying down the law with a ruler, but it's not like that. And when you are home, you will realize, you will understand why it's like that, because we're all equal. I might be a little more evolved than somebody else because of the work I put into it, but that doesn't mean they're not my brother. Okay, somebody else have a question?
I got a question.
Okay.
I was wondering if you can teach me or help me to heal myself and to also heal other people. Like, I'm thinking working with kids.
Mm-hmm.
And how would I go about doing that?
Yeah, you've already done some work, haven't you? Some classes, and it hasn't been very effective for you. So part of it is going to be your daily meditation and your prayer work, which I don't see you being that strong in.
True.
Just mentioning.
No, that's true.
It's not a judgment, but it's what I'm reading in your energy. So you'll need to focus your energy there. That your meditations, I would say, at least twice a day, 20 minutes, and use different types of meditation, okay, because you're easily bored. It is true, is it not?
Yes.
And you're easily bored, so you need to do different types of meditation, but it's a process. It's going to take some time, and you need to be patient with it. And yes, I think you would really be good working with children, because that's kind of what you do now, except not on a personal level. But you do work.
I do.
You do work with, they do this thing and you read it, and it's children. It's not adults.
Right. I do work with them some, but not very much.
But not on a personal level.
Yeah.
So
Just
yes.
occasionally.
Yeah, so it's a process now, building that energy and doing your meditation work and being focused on it, but still have fun. You're still having fun, so don't think you cannot have fun and do this, because it's very joyful. But that's how you will start, but it takes time. I'm going to use, she hates it, I'm going to do this, because she's not a youngster, and she's been doing this, working to build this energy so she could do these things for many years, many years. So it's not an overnight process, it takes time. So, okay, we'll move away from that.
No, go ahead.
Is there a preferred way to leave this earth, meaning a traditional funeral, the body's in a casket, or
well,
being embalmed?
Yeah, actually,
Not embalmed, what am I meaning?
well,
Cremated.
cremation is a good way, because, I will tell you why. Because it's easier for the soul to pull away from the body. When all these things are done to the body, sometimes it's hard for the soul to pull away. And that's usually because fear is there. And the soul is hanging on and hanging on, you know, with like claw marks almost. So, but with where they burn it, when they put it, then it's gone. And it's back to where it came from with the ashes. And so that makes it easier. But a lot of it is the individual. If they are, it can be frightening that last time, but if they are willing to let go and to know they're coming back to where they started, it makes it easier. But I like the what do they call that when they burn it?
Cremation.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah, because it separates quicker, it's cleaner.
How would you describe God?
I would talk about God being all of us. And they're all different aspects. You know, we're all one, but God lives in each one of us. But it's not like it's just, how can I describe it? Let's look at clouds. I like clouds. When a cloud can be cloud, right? And then little pieces break away. It's still part of that cloud. But it might not be with that cloud right then. And the energy, like there are beings on the other side, I guess you could call them angels. Okay. I'm getting like, yeah, okay. Anyway, even me getting the tongue, see? But even me, listen to that. I've been down here too long. But, you know, we're all part of God. We're just all different aspects doing our little thing. There are beings on the other side who are so powerful in their energy. They have never left. They have never been in a body form. They have never ever left this center. And they hold a lot of it together. But we're all doing our work. And then, let me tell you, when you come home, it's like a meeting. And then we get to share our experiences with each other. And it's really fantastic because people like to, maybe there have been a group who've been on this other planet. And you know, when there's life on a planet and beings on a planet, then their guides go with them and they're over there. Okay, and so then when they come home, that guide comes back and then we share our experiences. We never want to not be connected with you, ever. Did that answer that question? Sometimes I've noticed from John, I'm getting a little, John's like, you're taking it too long. Because he does that, you see. He starts with one question and ends up with something else. It's not, and it's easy. I see how difficult that can be now that I'm doing this myself. There's so much to share.
So does like God's energy hold the whole universe?
Yes.
Like in Earth where it is
But
and other...
You're separating.
Okay.
Don't
That's
separate.
all of us doing it?
It's all of us.
Okay.
You know, okay, I'll give you an example. When it was time for new energy to come in. Okay, I'm going to describe this. I hope this makes sense. Sometimes you know, sometimes it's hard to understand things because you have a brain, you know, and your brain doesn't like things it can't put in a cubbyhole. But I'm going to talk about the energies and the New Age energy that's coming in. Okay, I was in, and we still are in, the Piscean age. It's more of an individual. Okay, now the energy that is coming in, and the earth needs this, the universe this has been decided by all of us when we created these energies, and then we let the energy go. That the age of Aquarius, which, you know, there are all these songs, but it's true. The age of Aquarius now is to be an age where it's cooperation, where it's not so focused on an individual. You see that happen like in churches, like in the Christian religion, I'm a focus, Mary's a focus, Joseph. But when the New Age energy comes in, the churches, we hope, will look at each other and know we're all aspects of the one mind, and we're all teachers, and we're all learning from each other. So that New Age energy that is coming in, you know, this energy is here, and this is moving in, and it's like jarring, and then it moves in. But you can already see the changes that are happening, and it needs to be, because this earth, this soul energy that is holding this planet together is very powerful, but tired. So it needs this new energy to help it continue to hold this beautiful planet together. This is a planet of great beauty. I mean, there are planets that are not, that I don't think are pretty, but I guess whoever is on them thinks they're pretty. But this is a beautiful planet, beautiful. And it has beautiful life on it, all different kinds. And, you know, there were even more before, and then things happen and that life dies out, and then there's another life form. And I think it's very good when I see these things about people trying to save species, because once it's gone, once that energy is gone, it will never ever be repeated. So it's very good if you can hold on to these things. Some will go on their own, that they have done what they came to do. You know, maybe they've been here a few million years, and then that life form will dissipate and grow again as another life. It's all a circle.
I have a question that's more self-oriented, if that is all right.
Well, that's fine.
You know, I have stepped out a while ago to do like coaching of individuals and teaching, and I found that I got skittish because it didn't succeed in the way that I had hoped it would, and then moved through a myriad of stuff, and now I really am moving through it, and wanted to know if you have any suggestions from your perspective of a direction I can move in, or, you know, because at this point I'm like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah, I see you've tried some different things, and I think now what would be a good thing for you to do is to connect with some people who are doing that, but Rebecca, not to look at it as you need to be physically with these people, now to start looking at it as doing it on the computer, and connect with some people, though, who are ones who are agents. Connect with them, because you can do some to start out with, to do some talks in different places, and they pay all the expenses, and then they pay your fee. And to build that, and then as that goes along, then you can start with your coaching, okay? And when you're doing the coaching now, don't necessarily follow other people's leads. Do small sections of it. You know, a lot of these I see where it's a couple years or a year. Do maybe a month work with someone and then say, okay, where do you want to go from here? So offer some smaller bites than others are. And then also, Rebecca, you can be connecting with people now the way this communication is in other countries as well. And I'm looking, I think, you don't speak Spanish though, do you? Do you
Not
speak
fully.
Spanish?
I used to, yeah. I have to get back into it.
Yeah, that might be good. That's part of your heritage anyway, it seems like with this body that you brought in. And you could do some work also in some of the bigger countries that speak Spanish as well. Because there are people in some of these countries who have money and can afford this and are willing to work with you. So that's my suggestion. I still think, yes, this can work. You've tried different things that didn't, but you know, it's a process of learning how to present. Does that answer your question? Because it came from a very high source, you know. I had to put the fun in it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Can I just ask for a clarification? You had, you'd said, well, we need to get away from the end of my question real quickly. I was
Oh,
curious about
what
that.
was it?
Oh, it was about the healing and everything? Healing myself and healing others?
Uh-huh. And what did I say?
Oh, you'd said, I can't remember exactly, but something.
I don't remember either. So.
Okay, that you wanted to get away from the question quickly.
I did?
Yes.
Oh my
Because
Because
God.
I think the subject matter went back to John or Jesus, and it's like, it's always back to me. So they were like, I need to get off the subject of me.
Was that not your healing?
Yeah, it wasn't considered, it
Oh,
wasn't.
okay, I just was curious about it, you know. as
I'm
to-
confused.
Well, I confuse other people.
You want to know how to heal yourself?
Right, yeah, you had said that, and I thought, oh, maybe this means that I shouldn't be a healer.
No,
No, it wasn't.
Okay. All right, I'm just checking.
No, that's fine. You can, that's a work that you can pick up. You've always wanted to do that anyway. That's why you're in the job you're in. You're just going to move in a new way. But what I say to you is to be patient, which is what I said to Becky. It takes time to build the energy. And you're dealing,
Right.
It does, and you're dealing, well, I used her as an example, because it took her a long time to get to this point to be able to channel this way.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question, and it too is personal.
Okay.
It's about the experience that I've had with cancer, and I
Which
don't-
was unnecessary.
which was unnecessary, but
Right.
so my question is, I would like to not have it in my experience
Right.
anymore.
And to be working with your own healing energies every day. Every day. You cannot expect to completely heal a body if you don't stay focused on positive energy all the time. When the negative thoughts come in, you've got to work to get rid of them. You need to protect yourself, protect your energy. Do not be in places where there's darkness. If you walk into it, you see it, you get out. Because your body has been compromised and it has to recharge. And the cells are rebuilding themselves. But it's a process when you let something in like that. And then we're dealing with, there's a lot of negative, well, it's the energy on the earth plane doesn't have to be negative, but so many people have perverted it that there is a lot of this energy that can be very negative. And so you need to really protect yourself now. Protect your body. It needs to be in your mind all the time about the prayer, the energy, the meditation to protect your body all the time. You have to be careful with diet. You cannot have foods that carry toxins because your body can't throw them off now like it could have in the past. Okay? All right. Okay, I think I'll take a couple more questions.
I have one, it's kind of
Okay.
hard to give up a chance to ask Jesus a personal question.
That's right.
So I was wondering if you could please give me any insights about my son and his future, if you have any comments.
He's had a difficult way to go. He's a very sensitive young man, but he's moving out of this space now. He's growing, he's maturing. I think you're going to see in the next year more openness from him to learning things and to be more open. You could talk to him about meditation, but it won't help because he's not interested right now. But I think eventually that he will be able to know that, to move away from just focusing on physical. So it's a process. It's been more difficult than he expected, the higher self expected, but he is walking through that and he's growing. And the fact that he is back in this area now, that will be a good thing for him. It will be better because he will have a support system. He wanted to before be alone, be away, be, you know, and now he's been through some testing that have been difficult. And so now he is back to a spot where personality and higher self are more in touch with each other, and so he's able to, and the energy here is easier too to deal with than where he was. So he's making steps, and he's learning, he's growing. He's making some decisions about what he's going to do in a livelihood area. So, but he hasn't made a complete decision yet. But he is making some good steps now, so you should feel more comfortable with him.
All right, thank you.
I have one last question, Jesus, and that is, your mother, Mary, who was your earth mother,
Yeah.
is she at peace with herself, and also Joseph, where?
Is she at peace with herself?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
good.
She's very busy. You know, the Catholics really like Mary. No, I mean,
Yeah, they do.
they like her better than they like me, I think. So they keep her very busy. They are always praying to her and talking to her, and she is wonderful. She is an energy of great love and great peace, and she has groups that she works with. She's a teacher up here. She's a very lovely, evolved, very high energy. So yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
How about Mary Magdalene?
Well,
Is she at there?
yeah, she got her bum wrapped, didn't she? Because she was never what they said. She was a wealthy woman, and she was very open to new ideas. She's very evolved also, and she really helped us when we were doing our ministry, going around. She helped a great deal with that. And you see, some people that did not want a woman in a high position have made up these stories about her. But the truth is she was very evolved and a very good person and was able to help us financially. So yes, and she is here somewhere. I mean, she's somewhere on this side. She's not, and she teaches. I haven't connected with her in a while, but I know she has small groups that she works with, and she works with young souls as well, because she has a great deal of patience to work with them. So that's what she's doing. Yes. So everyone, you know, a lot of these people that were in biblical times and how they are presented, like Herod, really, he came home and was very distraught about when he first came back because he blew it, you know. And so then the higher self looks at that and says, oh, okay, so let me work here. And sometimes you'll stay at home for quite a while, and then you'll look again and think, well, you know, I could do this on the earth plane. Maybe I'll come back as an artist, or maybe I'll come back as a teacher, or maybe I'll come back to teach in the area of music. So then we decide how it's going to work and how we would like to be on the earth plane. But not everyone does that. You have a lot of, right now, especially on the earth plane, people, younger souls who've come in who want the experience of being on the earth plane, but they haven't done enough lifetimes to be able to balance and judge how to handle these lives, because it can be difficult. You know, you come to the earth plane anyway so that you can work, serve, and gain dharma. Because it's nice over here, you know, where I am. It's not as easy to get rid of karma when you're here because it's smooth. It's not a challenge as much, well, it can be, but it's much more challenging on the earth plane, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why you come. You come to do the work. But I do want to say this before I go. Yes, it can be difficult, but it can always be in love and in joy. You can have fun. You have teachers, you've got some spiritual teachers now who are pretty highly evolved, who are always trying to get people to enjoy the time here, because it's an opportunity. These lifetimes are an opportunity. And as time goes on and more changes happen and more things happen with the energies moving in, there won't be as many opportunities. So it's to use awareness and joy. So I will leave, but let me say to all of you that I have enjoyed connecting with you, and we'll talk again. I'll talk to John and Geraldine. See, I'll say, hey, we're going to do this, okay? Yeah, and she's very good about going on with it. So, but anyway, so we'll do this again, probably. Maybe it's fall. Is it fall in your time? It is, isn't it?
Yes.
So we'll do it maybe in the winter
Okay.
when it's cold and there's snow on the ground. Yeah, because I like to see snow. I don't have to do anything with it. I like to see it. So I will leave you now, but know that you are in my hearts with love.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, it's John. I just had to say a couple words, since I hope you like this session with him.
Yes.
I did. He is fun. He is joyful. And so, but we'll do it again. I'll be coming in October, and that will be pumpkin time, right? Is it pumpkin time? Okay, I'll come at pumpkin time.
That sounds good.
Yeah. So I will talk to you again, but you are lights for